to start joining. Hello, people. Welcome. While you're joining, please, if you can type where you're hearing us from.
Yep.
And I don't know.
Bottom center, there is a chat button, and there's also a Q&A button. So when you click on the chat button, in the bottom, when the chat screen comes up, you'll want to change the "to" all panelists and attendees so that everybody else can also see where you're from and say hello to you. And then anytime you have a question, you'll want to ask that in the Q&A, and that's a separate button.
Yep. Hey, Pakistan, Amir here. Hey,
Hi,
Amir. How are you?
Hi, Amir.
I wonder if people are still recovering from 4th of July. We've only got 13 people.
Yeah,
I don't think in Pakistan they are, but
yeah, no, exactly. That's why Amir is here with us.
Hey, Taraj, we remember you were one of the winners of the book.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Cool. All right, from New Orleans.
Birmingham. Hi, Felipe.
Hello from Birmingham. AL is what?
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. All right.
Hi,
from India.
All right. I think we can start because I don't think we're gonna get.
Yeah, that much more thing. By the way, this is being recorded and is gonna be later on YouTube. So if you have a friend that wants to see it later, or you want to review what we just did, just search on YouTube Data Science Live, and you'll watch this and other recordings.
Tell your
All
mom.
right. Yeah, tell your mom. That's important. All right. So welcome, everyone. Very happy to be here with you again. This is the second session of the week. So this is the first for us. And it's a very interesting topic we'll be discussing today. We have here with us Alejandro, Martinez, and Isaac Faber. They're the creators of an amazing platform called MatrixDS. And the idea of this session is for them to show us the platform. It can we may have a demo for you later, and you have to ask your questions here. I mean, if you have any questions about how to start your work here with the platform, this is the time to ask it. So welcome, Kristen, Isaac, and Alex.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the intro, Fabio.
Would you guys like to tell us sort of how you got your start in data science and a little bit about your career and, what sort of brought you to creating this platform, and then, of course, what the platform does?
Isaac, you want to get started?
Yeah, I can start. So I guess maybe a little bit about us, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Isaac, you muted again. Were you gonna
Sorry about that. I was organizing a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So my personal background, I've been doing data science for a little over 10 years. I think like a lot of folks who now do data science, it was called something else back then, either statistics or analytics or something along those lines. But I started in working on financial problems when I was doing my master's degree at the University of Washington. That's where I first was exposed to scripting languages, specifically R, and then picked up Python a little bit later. All of my experience has been in the military. So I went from my master's degree to teach at West Point, where I taught in the systems engineering department. In that role, I did a bunch of advising for different projects for cadets, where we started using a lot more of the, what we now would consider data science capabilities. From West Point, I went and I worked in Army Cyber Command, which is the Army's cyber warfare unit. And in that role, I was the lead architect for what is now the largest big data platform in the Department of Defense. Learned a ton during that experience, and probably one of the biggest lessons is that, you know, after you have all of your data in one place, you have to do something with it, and that something usually means you bring in a data scientist to start answering specific questions. And that process of like answering questions was really, really challenging. And sort of the next step in my evolution was the Army sent me back to school, and I went to Stanford, and that's where I met Alejandro. And it turned out that it wasn't just problems with big data in the cybersecurity world. These sorts of problems with data science being really challenging were across the board, where Alejandro experienced the same thing in a lot of his roles. So we met each other as PhD students at Stanford. And in the first year I was there, we co-founded Matrix, and have been working on it for about 2 years now. And so the whole goal with the product and the platform is to make data science more accessible, specifically to lower the bar for people to get up and running, to get into environments, to basically start doing data science as quick as possible. And so that's kind of a high level overview. As folks ask questions, we'll be more than happy to answer anything about my background, specific technical questions, or just questions about the platform or product. But with that, I'll hand it over to Alejandro, and he can tell you a little bit more about himself.
Absolutely. Isaac, yeah. So I'm Alejandro Martinez. I'm originally from Venezuela. So I born and raised in Venezuela. My same as Fabio. My family had a steel welded pipe manufacturing company in Venezuela, and I started working there when I was 10. My father used to say that in order to have any sort of leadership or impactful position in any company, you need to know how to do every single job in it. So I had operated every single machine by the time I was 15. And my family also comes from a very analytical background. So our focus was always in using math and using techniques that were available to us back then to solve the problems of day-to-day operations, supply chain, manufacturing, and just the running of the business in general. So my background, my soiree into data science comes more from the traditional operations research kind of background. I worked in the family company for several years. Given Venezuela's political problems, the company was nationalized in 2009, and that's when I came to the United States. I went to Cornell to get my master's in both operations research and business, and then spent a few years working as an operations consultant. So again, doing the same thing, trying to bring math into solving business problems, particularly in supply chain operations and corporate organizations. And from there, I actually had something that was lucky now. One of those things that you only know is lucky when you look backwards to it. But I was in the process of getting my green card when I got a message from the immigration department saying that I couldn't continue working because my current status was about to expire. And I had to wait for the green card to be adjudicated, which was having some serious delays. And so that gave me the time and flexibility to start thinking about getting my PhD and make the applications. And I came over to Stanford with a very big question, open question in my mind, which sort of shaped my research. And that question was, why are certain problems automated and others not? Why is it that we have so much knowledge on certain problems that never gets actually used and deployed into companies? And how do we bridge that gap so that people can have access to that knowledge, to those algorithms, without having to actually understand them at the deepest level? How do we democratize this so that more people can get their hands on it? That was sort of the burning question that I came to the PhD program with. And then I met Isaac, and we started working on doing this sort of thing for several different places. We were in a project together. We were trying to help medical centers decide whether to give a patient, so this patient's on dialysis, whether to recommend to them to accept a kidney offer that was on the table. And so this was a huge data problem. It all depends on what the rate of arrival of the next kidney is going to be. And if it's going to come, if another one's going to come very soon, then you might wait off for a better quality one. But if it's going to come later, then you might take this one right now rather than continue on dialysis, which is a terrible, terrible situation to be in. And we were trying to build this together, and it was that's when we sort of realized data science is a little bit broken. it's really hard to collaborate. It's really hard to share. It's really hard to build things together and to deploy them out to somebody who isn't a technical person. And how do I get that in their hands so that they can start using it? And Isaac's experience in the military with cybersecurity and massive data sets sort of all came together. And when we started thinking about this product and how to design it and how people want to collaborate and share, and what we wanted to do inherently was lower the bar for both people and organizations to get into data science faster and easier. We actually moved all of our research into the platform, and during our defenses, we were like, I hope nothing breaks right now because we're...
Yeah, of course.
That's life, right?
Also, an amazing background from each of you and a very detailed description, so thank you for that.
No problem.
So I think one of the questions we can ask right now is that, so what's the advantages people can have while using MatrixDS instead of using, like, I don't know, like their local machine to do data science?
Yeah, so let me jump into a demo so we can talk on top of the platform. And then we can talk, once we've done that, we can talk more philosophically about whatever else you guys want to talk. So can I just share?
Yeah, please share your screen in the green button below.
All right. So the way the platform is built, let me know when you're seeing this, by the way.
Yep, we see it.
Yeah,
right.
People if you can type in the chat section, if you can see Alejandro's screen to make sure that we're all seeing it, please. Yes. All right. Yeah, I can see. All right.
Yeah. So the way the platform works is the minimum object is a project, and you can see here I have my most active projects and just a list of all the projects that I'm in. I want to show you today what we call our demo project, which is actually available and public project. That means anybody can take it, fork it, use it, and do whatever they want with it. So MatrixDS demo project. And what you can see here is there's a bunch of files. That we have a project description of what's inside of it. Look and feel similar to GitHub in, this is what the project is about. This one in particular has a little bit of everything. It has things for R users, for Python users, for web dashboard developers, and some other cool stuff. And you can see I've got stuff currently running on it. Once you have a project, we go here to the tools panel, and what the tools are they are dedicated pieces of infrastructure where you can get to work on something very fast. So right now we have a Shiny app running and an Nginx container that has example dashboards. I'm going to show you how to build tools very easily. So you click this big green button here, and I'm going to build a couple tools right now. I'm going to build a Jupyter notebook with Python 3, and you just say how many cores and how much memory you want on it. And I'm going to build an RStudio tool, just basic ones right now. So what this is doing...
Are you on like the MatrixDS server, or is the Jupyter notebook actually on your local machine?
So you're working on the cloud completely?
Yeah, okay, so this is in the cloud, okay.
Yes. Everything's in the cloud. So what this does here, you see it took a couple of seconds, and what it did is it creates a container that has Jupyter Notebook and Python 3 installed and RStudio with R 3.5 installed, and it mounts the file structure of this particular project to that container. And so in a couple of seconds, you can hit open, and you're up and running in the cloud on that container out of the same files that you saw before. Let me show you the same thing for RStudio. Sorry, I got to move. Got two screens in here and I can't see both of them completely. So just like that, we have RStudio and refresh for a second, and a Jupyter notebook. Let's try again.
Yeah, don't worry.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
There we
and
go.
You can see I'm mounted to the exact same file structure. So what this does is it helps with collaboration, right? We're all working off of the same file structure. And that means if you have different people, you know, a Python expert, an R expert, or somebody who's doing the munging of the data and somebody else who's building the predictive algorithm and a third person building the dashboard, because we're all working off of the same file structure, it makes it very easy to share the data and the different transformations that we've done to the data to another person without having to rely on 3 or 4 different places that we were relying before a product like this was available. So everything gets.
Now, when you finish a project, then you're not committing it to GitHub. Like, are you versioning inside here?
But you can. So MatrixDS, every Matrix project has Git running underneath it,
Okay.
and you can. So we are doing commits for you, and every single container on MatrixDS is internet enabled, so you can use the terminal to do git pull and push to your GitHub account if you want to also use GitHub to save the code parts of your project. The idea is that we are saving everything else, right? And when you do this, one of the beautiful things about sharing environments in this way is that everything that I have to install, all the dependencies, all the packages, and all the paths are the same when we share with each other. So you no longer need to check if the paths are all right to continue working on my project, or if you've installed this dependency or that package. Everything is just completely shared immediately between the people on the project.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So what you can see in this project, let's open the deep learning demo here, and what you're going to see is this one.
So this is kind of like Google Drive, but for coding.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this is a deep learning demo. This is actually, Isaac, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this one because you were the one who built this project.
By the way, guys, there's a question here that says, is it possible to share links of some sample implementation with others for demonstration?
Yeah, so this is actually a public project, and I will share a link to this public project right now. What that means, anybody can see it. And if you want to spin up your own environments against it, you just need to forklift it. So you'll see up here a big green button that says forklift once you get to the public page, and you can just make a copy of it for yourself and start building environments against it and modifying it to your heart's content. So let me share that right now. Do you want me to put that on the Q&A or on the chat?
On the chat, please, yeah. So this is like the GitHub part of the platform, right?
Yes, so this is where we share whole projects with people so that they can, you know, use them, see them, modify them, do whatever they want. So there you go. That's a link to this particular project. In our webpage, matrixds.com, we have a few a few public projects that you can use. And once you're in MatrixDS, you can just search up here in the search bar, and you'll start seeing everything that's out there. So if you search for Isaac, for example, what? There we go.
Right.
You can see everything that he has shared. He's got this demo project that I've just shared with you. Is Intro to Data Science with Python with solutions, Shiny App embedding example. You see there's a bunch of things that he's shared here. And you can go and check his full profile. So let's see if I can just get to his profile. So this is Isaac's data science portfolio and profile. You can see it's got a connection to his GitHub, his LinkedIn, and these are the top projects that he works on, but you can follow every project that he's on right here. And you can do the same thing with mine. Once you're a MatrixDS user, you can go up here and check your own account and your own profile, and you'll see everything that you're showcasing to the world and how you are presenting your public projects and your public portfolio to everyone else.
Yeah, so I mean, if for people want to show their portfolio right now, they're using GitHub, but if they have any kind of app, sometimes they have like a static version. So in here they can share their Shiny server, or they can share their I don't know, their Django or Dash app, whatever, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the difference is in GitHub, you can only share your code and it's static and people can see what you've coded. With MatrixDS, you can share the entire environment so they can actually execute on your code and see it perform live, whatever you've produced. And so it gives you a much more robust portfolio. And if you have a full working app, people get to play with the app and actually use it rather than just, you know, having to download it, install it, or run it, or deploy it themselves to see what you've created.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good transition maybe back to me, Alejandro, and I'll point out a couple of those things that you just talked about in the demo project.
Yes.
So if you go back to the demo project, we'll talk a little bit about it. So one of the things that we wanted to show with the platform is that you don't have to know infrastructure anymore, right? So you don't have to be a server administrator in order to deploy a web page to show how good you are at data science. And that's what we mean by lowering the bar is that when Alejandro says environments, these are typically pretty complicated configurations to get, you know, a publicly available web page up and running, especially if there's backside logic. But on Matrix, it's just one click. And so if you share a project like GitHub, you get the code, but you also get all of the data and you get all of the dependencies associated with that particular project. And so if you've ever tried to, you know, if you've ever forked a project on GitHub, you'll realize that sometimes it takes a good day to figure out exactly what the environment is supposed to be. You typically have to get the data from somewhere else, you know, hosted maybe on S3 or something like that. So it's actually a bit of a hodgepodge to get up and running on data science or machine learning projects. And so the big difference here is that
really difficult too, like especially when you get into like object detection stuff and you need some obscure library that you haven't seen before, and then you go to find a blog with instructions on how to download that. I've been there. It's been
absolutely. And one of the funny things is maybe you just want to do it to check it out, right? But and you don't necessarily want to have this obscure library now taking up space on your local computer. So yeah, absolutely. So back in the demo project, we have a couple pieces of infrastructure, a couple pieces of tools that are currently live. So if you go back to the tools pane, I think the first question that motivated the demo from Fabio was what's the difference, right? So why not use GitHub, and what makes Matrix more interesting? One of the things that we like to say is that your whole data project can be done on Matrix, right? Not just bits and pieces of it, not just the code, not just the model training, but from munging all the way out to presenting a final outcome. And so we have a couple bits of infrastructure on here right now. There's a web page and a Shiny app. So if you open the Nginx tool, I think it takes you to a gallery of dashboards, if memory serves. Yeah. All right, so we're looking at a web page right now, right? So this web page is being served from a folder inside of the Matrix project. Whoa. But this tool has a URL. You can make it public and you can share it automatically without having to know anything about configuring web servers. You just stick your files in a Matrix folder and it's automatically served. And so,
Isaac. So I mean, I know if we're seeing the URL, it's a very long one. I mean, if you have a domain, can you point your server from Matrix to your domain?
You can. So right now, obviously, there's a few things that we've been working on the platform. One of them are the URLs. So there was a reason to have the long URLs initially, as we were like sort of coming out of beta and figuring stuff out. And in our next redesign, you'll have a lot more control over what the name of the URL is. Right now, it's more machine readable, but you can take the existing URL and you can forward it to whatever domain that you want through your DNS provider. Cool. And so and that's typically what happens with the clients that we have that use our platform. We usually have like a central point where like we add links to all of the outcomes, whether it's APIs or web apps, and so we do something similar for most of the customers. And Alejandro, if you go back to the platform. So another. Go ahead.
You're more B2B, right?
Yeah. So we have a GitHub type business model. So we want we want data scientists to use our platform for free. We do have a pro version just because servers cost money, but we give what we think is a pretty healthy amount away for free. And then we want those free users to eventually convert into business customers. So yeah, but what we would really like in a great version of the future is that people use our platform to teach off of, students get jobs, and then when they get to their job, they say, I learned about this awesome platform and it's super easy to use. Instead of going through the pain of setting up our own environment, which is what most companies have to do right now, let's just buy this. So yeah, as it sits right now, our business customers are invite only. So like the next version of the product, you'll be able to actually get on and create your own instance and stuff. So as we're like slowly rolling features out, like we're trying to figure out what are the things that people really care about. And yeah. So we have another tool in here that's a Shiny server, similar to the website. If you go ahead and open it, similar to the web page tool that we just showed. Inside of the project, this tool knows which folder to look for a Shiny app in. So you just make sure that your Shiny app is in that folder. There's probably a variable in our studio.
This one for a while.
And was somebody moving folders?
Yeah, that's probably what happened. You have an RStudio tool open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just create the basic app in the folder. You guys can kind of see how this works. So he's in RStudio and he's going to make a new Shiny app, give you a feel for how this platform works. Usually what would happen is you would be doing this on your local laptop, and this could be Dash, this could be Flask, whatever the case is, right? You're ready to make something that people are going to be able to share. And this particular tool serves a Shiny app. So you're going to make it here in RStudio, and then once you've made it in RStudio, it will then be available without any additional configuration in the Shiny tool, as long as you put it in the correct folder. And that's what Alejandro's doing now.
So you have to make sure it's inside the Shiny server folder. Actually, let me do something else. Let me just create a new directory in here so we have both next to each other.
Okay. I think it would make a directory with the new app.
Yeah. And then build the new app here.
Oh, that's interesting though. You don't have like the regular like knit button.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could knit a web page. I think RStudio is picking this up as an app, but you could easily do the same thing with Markdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, did you get it?
Yeah, I'm modifying the name here.
This is live. Woo!
There we go.
Did I write that correctly?
No, I was wrong, but I wasn't going to correct you. It's KRI.
I correct him all the time. Yeah.
Is this correct now?
Yeah. Looks
Yeah,
wonderful.
All right. So let me just save this out, and when you go back and open the Shiny, now you have a new folder in here called Old Faithful. Oh, what in the world is happening today?
You put it in an extra directory. It creates a directory when you make it.
That's what happened. Okay. Let me do that.
It's nice though. It feels so real life.
Yeah, of course, because this is how data science looks like.
This is what data science looks like.
Yeah,
Guys.
this is the exact representation of data science. Yeah, this is it.
All right, there it is. See, this is what happens. All right, let me try again. Ah!
All right, there's some dependency issue. Just make a new Shiny tool real quick.
Yeah, by the way, if you're a data scientist or you're in the process of becoming a data scientist, this is what will happen to you every time of the day. So you have to be prepared for the frustration part of data science. and I mean, this is gonna work hopefully in like 4 or 5 minutes, but there's some things that will take you weeks. So
that's funny. Yeah, I think
what will happen if you run the Shiny from inside? Yes, it will. So, oh, that's what's happening, Isaac. All right, I'll walk you through that in a second. Let me see. Yes.
Yeah. So what I want to real quick point out what just happened. So Alejandro, in exactly 5 seconds, created a brand new server that hosted the same file system but has an updated set of dependencies. Like if you were to do that same thing on it, yeah. And now he can share this back out to the world. So if you were troubleshooting on AWS or GCP and you were managing VMs, this would have been half of your day.
No, and if I was in a meeting and I was trying to demo something and it wasn't working, I would have been like, well, fuck.
Yeah, of course. Oh, by the way, we have a question here from Beta. The question is, what will happen if you run Shiny run app from the RStudio? Will it run the app?
Yes. So I was about to address that. So you can run internally here, no problem. Only when I move it, it doesn't like it. That's the problem. But yes, here, let me go back. Let me delete this empty folder so I don't get confused.
Yeah. It's also, I think, this is in the actual demo project, right?
Yes, this is in the actual demo project. All right, so this is the right one. Let me open that up. And if I just run app here, it runs internally just fine. It actually opened up a new window, so I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can change my share to include both of them. Let me just share my entire desktop too. Here we go. All right. You should be able to see this now.
Yeah. While he's doing that, I'll point this out. So the big difference is that when you do run app inside of RStudio, you're running the app inside of the RStudio tool. So it uses all of the resources in that tool. But if you wanted to share it, right, the nice thing about the Shiny app tool is it has nothing to do with the RStudio tool. They just share the same files. So you could be, running a really heavy, machine learning cross-validation task in RStudio, and the Shiny app won't be impacted, but for performance stuff.
There's also something really cool about having it in a separate container. So just a little housekeeping here for those of you following me on the code. This is a brand new Shiny app, so it doesn't have it, but, well, I'll get to that in a minute. All right, when we go back out to your MatrixDS account, your Shiny tools, I'm not the owner of this project. So Isaac, who is the owner of this project, can make this Shiny tool public the same way this one is. There will be a toggle here. Let me show you that in a different project just so you guys get the feel for it.
So you have something like this web page, this famous web page like Shiny Apps, something like that, but for your own platform, and you're hosting it by your own in your own cloud if you have this version, right?
That's exactly right. And not just for Shiny, we could do the same thing with Flask, with Nginx, with whatever you're building. So you can see here, this is a different project. I have this Shiny app made public. This is the toggle that you get from public to private. Once you make something public, the URL for your Shiny app, so this, can be pinged by anyone on the internet. So it doesn't have to be an MatrixDS user. If you're sharing this with your boss, your collaborator, your whoever it is, they can just get access to it immediately.
Yeah, throw it in the chat real quick so everybody can see that the app that you just made. Go ahead and put the URL for that tool in the chat so people can go to it and see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
You have to make it public because it's your project.
So the Shiny tool is already public.
Oh,
No, but he created a different one.
not the one that I created though. This is a different project than the demo.
Yeah, not the one you created.
Oh, one question here. So when people go to the platform and they register, You mentioned you have a free version and an enterprise version. What are they're getting for the free version?
Right. So with the free version, you get unlimited projects, unlimited tools. There's just 3 of those tools are permanent. So you can see here. Let me go back to our demo project for a second. And to the tools. Some of these tools have the tag permanent. So the first 3 tools that you create will be permanent tools. That means they never expire. Up to 1 core, 4 gigs. You'll have something running forever. Everything that you run after that is on a 6-hour timer. And what happens when the timer runs out is it just stops. It stops consuming resources. Don't lose anything. You can just hit start again and continue working. It's just a way for us to keep the infrastructure costs down. But it's a seamless, because the files are all saved to your MatrixDS account and not container, you have an absolute continuity even if you destroy the tools. So you can stop tools, and then in here you can delete them. And this, even if you delete tools, you have 100% continuity because the files are all stored at the MatrixDS level, not at the container level. And so are the dependencies, so is everything that you've installed inside. The other thing, so you can get unlimited tools and unlimited projects up to 1 core, 4 gigs, plus your own profile. That's what you get for free. In the pro version, we open up the infrastructure to being able to spin up different resource types. So you can go up much higher if you need several cores or several gigs of memory for a project that you're doing. And we charge you exactly what Google would charge you for a dedicated virtual machine. Exact same pricing. And we just charge you by the minute. You have absolute control, so you can stop it whenever you want. And if you go to your account here, you will see everything that you have running. So you have absolute control of how much you are consuming on the resources that you are consuming for any particular project. This takes a while to load because, as you can imagine, I have a lot of projects.
Yeah, and for a company, so this all has to happen on the cloud. Can it be deployed on premise? What's the process there?
Absolutely, yeah. So we, because of the way it's built, MatrixDS is a Kubernetes engine running underneath. That means we can install it anywhere that you have a Kubernetes engine. So if it's in your VPC in AWS, so we're sitting on top of Google Cloud. The way we do this with companies, we say, I am your cloud provider for your data science needs at least. I'll take care of it. I'll just pass through the cost to you, and I'll give you everything that you want, right? When we do an enterprise account, you get your own namespace, URL, completely separate instance that it's by invitation only to your employees or the people you want in there. Sorry, and we give you the infrastructure however much you need. It's up to you, so it's all on demand. And sorry, I was going somewhere with this, and I sort of lost track of it.
That's fine.
And yeah, but the idea is, oh, I see. I remember now. We can install it on your own VPC. So say you're an AWS company and you want to install it on your virtual private cloud. We can do that as long as you have a Kubernetes engine in your cloud, or we can install a Kubernetes engine in your cloud. And the exact same thing applies on-prem. So if you give us access to your servers and we install a Kubernetes engine in your servers, then we can install MatrixDS on top of that.
Awesome.
So, and does it support using things like SparklyR and dealing with, huge amounts of data, or are you limited, or you just have to scale up how much resources you're using?
So we play nice with a lot of other companies. You do have to scale up on resources when you need to.
Yep.
But let me see.
Like, have you been using any sort of big data environments along with this, or have you just sort of been playing with data that's in like a regular data warehouse, like normal size, nothing crazy?
So you can scale up. We have support a TensorBoard on MatrixDS. So whatever you want to do with TensorBoard, you can do with us. and we can connect to your data lake, however that messy and big that is. The ideal situation
That's sort of what I was getting at, was like, how, you know, yeah.
Yeah. So the ideal situation is this wasn't created to be your data lake. You could technically use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's not its original purpose, at least. This is supposed to be.
No, but you could, like, if somebody had a data lake, you could use this against it.
That is correct. Yes. So the idea is this is the place. This is the place that starts as your R&D sandbox for data science and eventually becomes your production engine for data science as well. So we support the whole process, and you can just pull from the data lake when you need it, however messy that is, however big that is. We are built to scale to that.
Okay, awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, and so I think we got the main gist of it. You know, you've seen a couple of apps being hosted. I think we've mostly shown you some R tools. There is notebooks available for several different languages. The most popular, obviously, are R and Python, but you can also do Julia. And we even have an Octave kernel on there for those of you that are going through MATLAB stuff, and Andrew Ng's popular machine learning course. You can do the whole thing on the platform without having to figure out how to install Octave on your laptop.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty flexible. And as you can see, the idea here is that all the stuff that you'd have to do stitching this together on the back end, and all the things that you'd have to know in order to make this stuff work, you don't have to know anymore, at least to get started. And then, you know, all of your energy can be dedicated into building data science specific code and not necessarily becoming an infrastructure engineer.
So
Yes, sir.
go over real quickly how, because I'm just thinking about when I teach people data science, how difficult is it to access a database, or, you know, let's say I had a SQLite database. Is it just, you know, downloading or installing the R SQLite package and setting up a connection within R, and then it'll create the connection to the database just as it normally would?
Yep, that's exactly right. So all of our enterprise clients have this exact need, right? So you've got to be able to connect to external data sources really easily. And so you can make databases on the platform, but they're sort of not meant for, you know, like Alejandro said, for your data lake. Yet I think in the future this will expand and you'll be able to spin up Spark clusters. But as it sits right now,
if you were teaching a course, you could put a couple data sets on there just so that people can easily access them.
That's exactly right. Like what's MySQL? You know, I think we have 3 on there right now. There's Postgres, MySQL, and Mongo, which covers most of the things that you would need if you're teaching. Or you can do, you know, you can spin up a small SQLite instance on your RStudio or on your Jupyter container as well. You know, you have full admin rights to each of the tools, so you can put whatever you want on there. And connecting to external databases is also very easy. Just whatever the database's URI is. Most of the database packages are pre-installed. So if you go into the R container right now, it's already got MySQL, Mongo, Postgres, and then a handful of others. JDBC, a bunch of the common database connection libraries are already set up and ready to go.
Also already pre-installed AWS S3. So we did as thorough job as we could in figuring out what the most basic packages were that you would most likely use, and pre-installed all of them onto this image. You can just go to library, whatever that package is.
And what if we need something custom? Because I think we saw a custom tab there. What's the custom part here?
Yeah, so MatrixDS is super Docker friendly. So if you built your own Docker container for something that you've modified personally, we let you spin that up very easily. So you just go to the custom tool here and you paste your Docker image file. We ask right now that you host it on Docker Hub, and we let you spin it up very fast so that you can get it to work on your data science projects. Not just that, you can also spin it up for your friends to use. So if this is your custom image and you want 3 or 4 other people on the same project that you already use the same custom image, they can all use that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
if
like
you were teaching a class and you need the whole class to have the same environment, you can create your Docker file with the libraries, the packages, all of it. So it can be the same for everyone.
Yep. We haven't publicized it yet, but we have a whole set of Docker files that we've used for all of our tools, and it's open source right now, but it'll be something that over the course of this summer that we'll start advertising more heavily. Like you can fork our tools, make changes, add stuff, remove stuff, and they once you have them pushed up to Docker Hub, any of them can be hosted, like Alejandro said, right on the platform. So once you have a container, and this is a big gap right now, a lot of people will learn Docker, and it's actually pretty hard to get like a Docker container into production somewhere. So we make it like super duper easy. Just put the URL from Docker Hub, and then Matrix hosts it, and just like the other tools you saw, it's ready to go.
Awesome.
That's pretty nuts, actually. I've never personally tried to do it myself, but I've seen a lot of frustrated tweets about that subject.
Absolutely.
All right. Regarding the collaboration part of the platform, so you mentioned you can have more people in a project. How will that look like?
So it's super easy. You just click this little plus person up here, and you can search for anyone who's already on the platform. So,
yeah, I'm twice.
You have two. Looks like you have two profiles.
Yeah.
Is your middle name Andre, Fabio?
Yeah, I'm Andre. Yeah, of course.
Learn something new every day.
Like that, I can add you to this project, and now you have full access to it. I can give you view access or edit access. And if you weren't on the platform yet, I can just type your email in here. So, I don't know. Let's try, just for the sake of it, fabio@gmail.com. I don't know if that's you. I doubt it.
I doubt it. I would love to have that Gmail account.
Fabio.VazquezP@gmail.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it was hard. Now it's with C. Both
C's.
Oh, but that's
it's
it.
telling me you're already registered.
Cool. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, this would send you an email invite. So if you have a friend you want to collaborate with that isn't a user, just send them an email invite and they come straight to your project.
So,
That's
and
nice.
when people are in the same project, they share the whole system, right? I mean, they share the file structure, the automatic Git thing. But when people,
if you were to add me right now to your project and I go in there and I delete a line of code that's important, are you able to backtrack?
Yes, let me show you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an important question.
So MatrixDS runs Git underneath. Now you can connect to your own Git if you wanted to, but let's look at this simulation R file. Essentially what happens is every time I hit save, we do a Git commit underneath without asking you about it. And if you open the file here in the file viewer, you can revert to any previous version that was automated commit.
Beautiful.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this part is an automatic commit, but if you do the commit by yourself, this will also be here. I mean, I mean, you have both commits here, the automatic ones. And
we haven't exposed the underlying Git to the user yet. That's one of the features that we are planning on building next, so that you can force the commits yourself. Right now, it does it either every time you save or every 2 minutes if it detects a change.
Cool. That's awesome, because sometimes
if you haven't saved the file and you change something, we do a commit for you.
Yeah. Do you ever think about not exposing more GitHub functionality just to keep it simple?
So that's the reason why it's not exposed right now.
Yeah. I'm like, I was just wondering what being a fly on the wall during those conversations looked like. We want to lower the bar to entry. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah, we want to start with the simplest possible version of it, and then talk to people and see we really need this. Can you make this happen? And those are the features that we actually build.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Very cool.
Okay, so and for the so I saw you have like Julia and Octave and R and Python, but for the custom part, can you spin up something different for a different language?
So you can spin up, we actually did our most weird test is we spin up Infinite Super Mario from Docker Hub into MatrixDS with no problem.
That's very cool. All right.
So you can do, if it's Dockerized, if it's Dockerizable, you can spin it up.
That's very interesting because, and I mean, and you can take advantage also of the amazing things that are already on Docker Hub, because there are amazing Docker files there with the whole systems for working with Spark or SparklyR or creating clusters stuff. So it's a very interesting thing. You just have to pull that thing in, you have everything. So that's very cool.
Is if it's Dockerizable, you can spin it up going to be your new tagline for the company?
Let
me show you, because somebody's asking here a question about a beast mode for the Git underneath. There is actually already a built-in one. So if you come to the File tab and show hidden files, you can find the dot. Oh, it's not there. There is a .gitignore file. And if you know how a .gitignore file works, this is everything that's getting automatically committed. And you can add or subtract things from here however you want. And so now you get to have full control, or well, not full control, but an extra control of what the underlying Git is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you want to change this file, you need to open a tool, right? You can change it from here.
Oh, you can. This is editable.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So you don't have to, oh yeah, that's interesting because sometimes,
and you can save.
Yeah, because if you want to, if you have the pro version, you don't want to, I don't know, like spend money to change a line of code. So that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a full text editor right here. There's another feature that we haven't talked about yet, which I think is a pretty important one, and it's jobs. So jobs are for serverless running of things. So let's say you have a use case where, yes, I have this external database that I've connected to, the SQL database, and it gets updated live every day. And I want to pull in the end of day data every day so that I can have that for my analysis tomorrow, or so that I can feed it into the dashboard that's already there. And so you can go to jobs and say, let's just schedule a new job. Right now it only supports R and Python, but it's coming on more languages. And say, this is a Python script that I've already written. This is actually a command line. So you just write, Python 3, myscript.py, and you hit run.
That wouldn't work because
yes.
it has spaces, but yeah, I mean, we get it. Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking about all this talk about, when people say like, oh, R isn't that good because it's hard to use in production. And it's like, well, okay, but now we're able to set up a job to get the data and continue to get,
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not just that. You can actually run these things later and you can repeat them. This thing is weekly, put it every Monday at midnight, go, and this thing will run every Monday at midnight until you stop it.
And then you can fire your whole BI team, right?
If you write your scripts right, you can have a script that pulls from your database and another script that runs immediately after that one that converts whatever that data that you pulled into your dashboard and serves it into a Shiny tool, assuming you're in R. Or you could do the same thing with a dash on Python, right? You can just pull it in, have a script that pulls the data in and a script that feeds your dashboard on Dash, and that's it.
Yeah, no, and if you have a script that after you've done something, it writes back to the database, now you've just automated stuff, but without having to know so much of the other stuff that goes into automating things.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's amazing. you know, this is like one of the things that I always talk about is just because I've been a data scientist for 10 years too, and the tools that are coming out are just making it so much easier to be a data scientist and be effective. Like this is a fantastic example of somebody who, you know, maybe isn't the best coder in the world is now able to automate things that otherwise they'd struggle with.
Well, let me tell you a little secret here. You can, because it's Dockerizable, if you have your own Tableau license, you can spin up Tableau inside MatrixDS and feed into your Tableau dashboard and make it public and serve it out to whoever's going to consume it. So you have full end-to-end integration of the entire data science stack all in one place.
That's just awesome.
I love it.
One question here. So what if you have, let's say, one script in Python and one script in R that happens, I don't know, like the munging you do in Python and the visualization you do in R. How will it work for combining these jobs? Because you need to know that the first job is done before running the other one. How will you do that?
Yes, so right now it's manual. That's one of the features that we want to add is we want to add a little toggle here where it's, string these scripts together. When you're done with this job, run that job and we want to do it with the simplest, nicest GUI that we can. There's tools for that out there that are extraordinary, very hard to use. And so we want to make that process as simple as possible for somebody to just say, this is the order in which I want to run these 3 scripts and just go.
Cool. Right now, what you can do is like think if this script takes 3 minutes, I'll just run the other one, I don't know, in 10 minutes to be sure, something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. If you're doing these things at night when people are asleep, just run one and run the other one an hour later.
So the way I handle it, Fabio, is I usually have a master script that calls all of the subscripts.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more effort, but I have a Python file that sources different script files in order. So you can do it right now. It just is a little bit more manual.
Cool.
Yeah.
T. Isaac's a better coder than I am.
Fake news.
Guys, if you have any questions, this is the time because we're running out of time. So if you have any further questions for Isaac, for Alejandro, or Kristen, or me, this is the time you can ask them. So if not, okay, we have a question here. Okay, so there's a question that says, how do we install custom libraries in Python?
Great question. Just go to your Python environment, open a terminal, and do pip install.
Cool. That's it.
Any other questions?
For R, just do install.packages.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the same. That's very cool because it's a very familiar environment you're in. You don't have to learn anything new, so that's cool.
A lot of the conversation that we had when we were building this was around, we don't want our own, we're not going to build our own IDE. We have to make this as similar to what people are already doing as possible so that, the barrier to adopt is very low.
Oh yeah, because our studio users are not going to go to a different IDE.
That's correct.
They're very passionate.
Or not. And so what if you need, so in these tools, I mean, let's say you create a Jupyter Lab tool. What if you need a very specific sets of libraries and versions? How can you, because I mean, when you spin it up, you have some things pre-installed. How can you change all of this if you need a specific version of that for running your code?
Say that again. I don't think I followed.
Yeah, so
I can tackle it all. So you can, obviously when you spin it up, you can just go to the command line and look and see what versions of the packages are there. We update all of the tools with the latest stable versions of all of the packages once a month. But if you need something specific, that's one of the reasons we included the custom functionality and we open sourced the Docker files for the tools. So you can just go make small modifications to the Docker files where you specify what versions of the libraries you need, then put that environment on Docker Hub, and then serve it as a custom tool. And we do that quite a bit. So if you're on the enterprise side, most of the tools that the companies use that we work with are all very custom. You know, they have libraries that they've written themselves or that we've helped them help write on their behalf. So the containers actually have, you know, much different sets of dependencies than what you find on the community site for obvious reasons, right? So, you know, if you're an admin, you can add those tools so that they show up on the permanent page. But if you're on community, then you would just use the custom container.
Yeah. I'm pasting here I have it open, but this is our MatrixDS GitHub account that has all our tools. So every single tool that we've created is in there, and it's open source. You can take and modify them, do whatever you want.
All right. We have 2 more questions here. If I write a data pipeline in Spark and host it, how will I be charged? So
we charge you for the infrastructure that you use on the Pro account. So if you're a Pro user, let me go to our MatrixDS website. You can see our pricing, but it's per minute for the time that you're using it. We charge 3 cents a gigabyte of storage. Oh, we give you 5 gigabytes of storage for free. If you want to upgrade that, then we charge 3 cents an hour for an extra core, and 0.3 cents an hour for every gigabyte of memory. So depending on how much you're using and how long you have it running, that's how much you're paying.
Awesome. So, I mean, I think what he was wondering is like, I will decide my infrastructure, and even though this Spark uses less or more, I will be charged by the infrastructure I decide up front, right?
Yeah, so you will see if you don't, Isaac, you want to take this?
Yeah. So both with jobs and with the tools, you're going to use some amount of compute. You'll decide how much that is. So, for example, if you're running a Spark job, obviously the Spark cluster is somewhere else. On the community side, you don't get charged any. There's no API call fee or anything. So if you stayed, you know, if the machine that you have running the query is below the threshold, you actually wouldn't pay for it at all on the community site. But if you needed something bigger, let's say you're pulling a big chunk of data back in from your query, and it's, I don't know, like 30 gigs of data, and you needed a tool or a job that had that much memory, then you would just pay per gigabit and per core based on what Alejandro just mentioned. So there's only 3 things that you pay for on Matrix: storage, compute, and memory.
Cool. Yes. We have another question here that says, are there any OAuth tools for per user model? I guess this will be handled in the code.
So we let you log into Matrix through, we have OAuth already built in through Google and Facebook and GitHub. But I guess you're talking about your present tools, things that you're sharing out to the world. You have to build that yourself. So if you have a public Shiny, a public website that you're hosting on MatrixDS, you have to build the authentication yourself inside it, and then that gets used by the people who actually need it.
Right.
Cool. So I think we're out of time. This was an amazing session. I think people discover a very amazing tools to work. And I mean, this is just the dream I had like 5-6 years ago.
Not really, though. That was it. It's like you build something cool, and then, you know, I've had jobs where I've worked at places where I've been allowed to schedule my own jobs, but then I've worked at places where I wasn't allowed to schedule my own jobs. And they like just wouldn't they wouldn't give me that access to do that. And so this is like a workaround, and it's, you know, a little bit of a, you know, hey, screw you, buddy. But I really like it.
Well, actually,
yeah, without a doubt.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So, Kirsten, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, there's a really big contentious relationship between the IT department and the data team.
Yes, there is.
And they have for good reason, right? Like we have totally different views for what should be done with a computer. And when you say no, I need a whole bunch of memory and I'm going to max it out for like 4 days, they're like, that's nuts. Why would you do that? So part of what we want to do is sort of separate or create an amicable divorce, right? Where the data scientist has this cool sandbox where they're not potentially stepping on production systems. They're not consuming resources that are earmarked for, services for other customers. But, here in this area, then you're not limited by the things that you want to do.
Yeah, it's like the data warehouse becomes a love child where you have joint custody.
There you go. That's right. Yeah.
Before we go, we have a final question from Amir that says, do you offer auto scale up at backend like Azure does for Azure Analytics?
So when you spin up a tool, you're deciding what is the max amount of resources that you want to use for this particular job. So what will happen is your job or whatever you're running runs slower if you cap your resources up to a plate. The tools themselves don't auto scale, but again, in the way we've built it, we auto scale as more and more people jump up and down so that you get the same experience whether there's 150 people running jobs at the same time or not.
Yeah, and that's right now.
Right.
We hope that auto scaling on the presentation tools will be coming in the next major release.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I am thoroughly impressed.
We're glad.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being here with us. Just a quick reminder that this has been recorded and it's going to be live on YouTube later. Just type Data Science Live on YouTube and you can see this recording and other ones. And Isaac and Alejandro, first, thank you very much for being here with us. Is there any way for people to talk to you, like your Twitter account or LinkedIn or Facebook? What would be the best way to talk to you?
We're both super active on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay, so LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the way.
Actually, I'll send out both of our profiles for people to connect with, or very easily.
Bro, are we connected on LinkedIn? I think I'm already connected to Isaac.
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Alejandro.
I'm not sure, but let me paste this out to the chat here. There's something wrong with this chat right now. I'm not.
Tour?
Let's see. Is this what I need? Yes, finally. All right. This is me. And let me search for Isaac.
Yes, make sure to just add them there and tag with them. All right, so we have Isaac and we have Alejandro.
We'd love to talk to you. When you start using our product, if you think of great new features, please send them to us.
That's right. We're new, young, and we want to make sure we get the product right. So any feedback is fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you, everyone, for staying here with us so long. And hopefully, we can see you in another session. And so remember to follow us, Kristen and me too, because if you have any more questions, you can talk to us through LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever. We're all over the place. So yeah, you can talk with us.
Much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have an amazing day.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye.
Bye.